at least my experience of having big ideas in my life is it doesn't really appear as a big idea, and I'm going to change everything and do everything differently. So, for example, when I wrote No Impact Man, I went to my literary agent. I had come up with maybe 5 or 6 different ideas for books, but all of them were ideas about that would be a way to discuss what was happening in the world, to address my writing to the suffering world. But I had 5 or 6 ideas. And then I went to my agent and I told him the 5 or 6 ideas, which included No Impact Man. And he was like, oh, that sounds like a really good idea. So then I did a little week-long version of living as environmentally as possible in New York City instead of a whole year, just a week to experiment with it. And then I wrote a book proposal, and that went to so the point is that it was really just like a little snowball, when the snowball rolls down the hill and it collects more and more snow and it gets bigger and bigger. So it didn't really start as a big idea, right? The winter before I did the No Impact Man project, I actually did a 100-day midnight retreat, which is where we practice from midnight until 2 o'clock in the morning for 100 days in a row. I can't say for sure that there was a connection between that retreat and doing No Impact Man, but sometimes I think there was, because No Impact Man was such a complete change in my writing career from my history books. So, but certainly when we practice, it's a way to get our thinking minds out of the way. Like, we have these habits of mind that habitual habits of thinking, and we just stay in these cycles over and over and over again. And when we meditate, we're able to detach a little bit from the habitual thinking, and sometimes other things come up. Our life is only lived moment to moment to moment. Like, here we are, just in this moment, and we do a little action or a little idea that takes us to the next moment, and then we do another little action and another little idea. And what practice does is it allows us to follow our situation in each moment instead of imposing some big habit or desire on each moment. And so I think what happens is it's not so much that No Impact Man came to me as a big idea, but that in life, moment by moment, I was able to follow my correct situation and not let my fear or something like that block me from just following the path that led me there. First, I thought, I want my writing to address itself to this suffering world. How can I help with my writing? How can I take my karma and use it to help the world's karma, right? So, and then some little idea came, and then first of all, the agent said, that's a good idea, and then the publisher said, that's a good idea. So it's all interconnected, like everybody's helping and having input. Of course, everybody makes the paper for the books, and, so all sorts of things are happening. And meanwhile, as a person, just follow this, when in our school, follow the situation means clearly look at each situation we find ourselves in and allow the correct action to arise in response to that situation, just moment by moment by moment by moment. If we practice, then instead of our karma using us, that means instead of us being the victim of our karma, that we can use our karma. Instead of the karma using us, we use the karma. So that means instead of being the victim of everything that's happening in our lives, and everything that's happening in our lives is caused by everything that has already happened in our lives, instead of being the victim of everything that's happening in our lives, we actually see what's happening in our life and say, how can we use this to help all beings? So, for example, when I did No Impact Man, I had the karma of being a writer. I had the karma of wanting a little bit to be famous. I had the karma of needing to earn a living. The world had the karma of climate change and the karma of social injustice and the karma of people not paying attention to the problems. So how could I use my situation to help the world situation, right? And if you use your karma to help yourself and all beings, then your karma is then even bad karma is good karma, and if you don't use your karma to help all beings, then good karma is bad karma. Well, just in this moment, where is desire? Where is action? Where is reward? In our tradition, things that we do to relieve stress are we do sitting meditation, we do chanting meditation, bowing meditation. People will say really helps with anxiety. Sometimes Sun Yu, certain forms of movement meditation help with stress. But if you practice hard, then you can see where the root of your stress is. What is stress? You can have this question. What is stress? What is anxiety? And when stress comes, you don't force it away. You just, what is this? Or when anxiety comes, you don't try to force it away. So what is this? Just don't know. Just don't know. And if you practice with it long enough, you can see what the roots of stress and anxiety are. And when you see what the roots of stress and anxiety are, you can use that wisdom to help yourself and also to help all beings. So when we experience stress, if we practice with the stress, then in some ways it's a gift because we can use it to help everybody else that has stress too. So through our practice, if we're not attached to results, then the stress of our action, there is no stress of our action. That's called using universal energy instead of using our own energy. Following our situations, that's back to follow situation moment by moment by moment, as opposed to having your idea of what's supposed to happen and what you're supposed to do, and which is using only your own energy. So using universal energy means me and you and this whole world become one. What's the next action? What's the next action? What's the next action, right? Well, yeah, there was lots of times I wanted to quit, but if I quit, I wouldn't get paid for the book. The movie wouldn't come out. I wouldn't have been able to support my child, because I was making a living by this. So, sure, there were lots of times where I wanted to quit, but the situation didn't let me. There were hard parts. Sometimes we want to quit and we should quit. Sometimes we want to quit and we shouldn't quit. And in this case, sometimes I wanted to quit, but I shouldn't quit. People approach that type of thing in all sorts of different ways. Some people say, I don't have the thing, so I'm not going to try. And some people say, I don't have the thing, but it doesn't matter, so I'm going to continue to try, right? So first of all, I think if you have to decide to try, even if you don't have the resources, you have to let go of this idea that you don't have the resources, so it won't work. So, for example, we have, there's a story in our tradition for Mujisani. When she founded the temple, she had to raise a lot of money for the temple. She needed $3 million to buy this building, and she had no money. So I heard that she chanted every day, Kwanzaa Bosal, 10,000 times every day. Kwanzaa Bosal, Kwanzaa Bosal. Kwanzaa Bosal is the name of the Bodhisattva of compassion, and so in our tradition we chant that name, Kwanzaa Bosal, over and over again when we wish something well, when we want, when somebody's sick or something's needed. And so she had this strong intention, even though she had no resources, and chanted Quantum Bosal, Quantum Bosal, Quantum Bosal. Now, who knows whether chanting Quantum Bosal helped her get the $3 million, but somehow or another it helped her to have the determination to keep trying. She didn't make up this story, I don't have the resources, so I can't do it. If you have an idea, is it worth putting in the effort to get the resources? But I suppose the we have a saying in our school, try for 10,000 years, only try. So try for 10,000 years, only try. If it's important to you, and if it will help all beings.